Hi everyone, my name is Caris and welcome back to my corner of the internet where I talk about books and other things that I enjoy. First of all, I'm so mad that you can't actually see my t-shirt, so I'm just going to take a moment to point it out. It says Little Women on it. Shout out to Charlotte from Coiny Reads for inspiring me to buy this t-shirt and my general love of Joni that I've got at the moment. That aside, in today's video I'm going to be talking about the books that I want to read in February. I know this is a little bit late, we're about a week into February now. Basically, I was going to sit down this morning and film my TBR for Wilsathon, which is the Jacqueline Wilson themed readathon that I'm hosting alongside a load of my friends. I will leave a link in the description to my announcement video. That's going to be taking place from next Saturday the 13th of February through to the 20th of February, and then I thought, you know, why not just talk about all the books that I'm planning on reading this month while I'm doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by talking about the books that I'm planning to read for Wilsathon, and then I'll move on to the other books that I might get around to this month. To be honest, I don't normally set myself monthly TBRs, but what I've been doing recently is I've got a trolley like a lot of people have, but the bottom two shelves of my trolley I use for craft supplies, and then the top one at the start of every month I like put the books into there that I'm most excited about reading in that current moment in time. And then it's sort of like a TBR, but I'm not going to be mad if I stray away from it because I feel like I am quite a mood reader. As I said, I'll begin by talking about the books for Wilsathon, but if you're not interested in Jacqueline Wilson, then I will leave a timestamp in the description to where you can skip to for when I start talking about the other books. So for Wilsathon, Shah did create us a bingo board. I'll put it on screen now here, and you can also go over to @Wilsathon on Twitter to check it out and to check out any other details that we've been sharing on there. So basically there are 5 book related prompts on this and 4 general prompts. The general prompts I'm going to sort of be covering in my vlog for Wilsathon that I'm going to be doing. The only one really that I have to decide on something for is what adaptation I'm going to watch, and I'm definitely going to be watching My Mum Tracy Beaker because it's like the universe knew that we were going to be doing this readathon and timed that coming out on the BBC to the exact same time as we're doing the readathon, so I will be watching that. I might watch something else as well, I'm not sure yet, but it will all be in the vlogs. In terms of the books, there are 5 prompts. So we've got a book for older readers, a book for younger readers, reread your favourite book, read a book you haven't read yet, and read a book with your favourite colour on the cover. So I've got 4 books that I've picked out as my TBR. Now there's no way, absolutely no way, that I'm going to get around to reading 4 books in a week. I just do not have that reading speed at the moment. Although they are children's books, I just don't think I'm going to be able to do it. But I just couldn't narrow it down because I know which one I'm going to start with, but after that I just don't know what I'm going to be in the mood for. So I thought it's better to have a selection and then we can just see how we get on. So the one that I'm definitely going to be rereading, and the first one that I'm going to be picking up, is My Sister Jodie. This reflection is going to be really annoying with the ring light, I'm sorry. I'll try and hold it still. So this book covers quite a few prompts. It covers a book with my favourite colour on the cover because my favourite colour is purple, and it also covers the prompt for rereading my favourite book because this one was definitely in my top 3 Jacqueline Wilson books of all time. I don't know if that's because it's one of the last ones that I read, so I have like the clearest memory of it, but I feel like it made one of the biggest impacts on me out of all the Jacqueline Wilson books that I've read. So this one follows a girl and her older sister, and typically her older sister has been like the popular one and she's been, I guess, the quiet girl, the one that doesn't really have that many friends, a bit unpopular. And then her parents get jobs, or one of them at least gets a job at a boarding school, and the 2 sisters have to move to the boarding school, and when they get there their roles are sort of reversed. So the younger sister becomes the popular one and the older sister becomes a bit of an outsider. There is such a big like twist and big dramatic moment right at the end of this book, which I feel like thinking back was quite traumatic. So I'm interested to see exactly how it all plays out. I also think that at a push this one could count for a book for older readers. I know it's not one of her like real teenage ones, but I also wouldn't say that it's a book for really young readers either, so I'm not sure. I might count it if I don't get around to reading the one that I picked out specifically for a book for older readers. The one that I did pick out specifically for a book for older readers was Lola Rose. I was really torn between this and Love Lessons because Love Lessons is the one that I kind of want to reread the most because I think it's going to be the worst one and I think I'm going to hate it because the plot in it is so messed up. I decided even said that I would go for Lola Rose because I do remember what happened in Love Lessons, but I really don't remember very much about this one at all. All that I know about this one is it's about a girl, her little brother and her mom, and they basically have to pack up and leave their life behind and start a new life, and the main character adopts a new name, that being Lola Rose, hence the title. Again, as with all Jacqueline Wilson books, I'm sure there's going to be some dark issues covered in this. Another one that I would really just love to reread because it was my other favourite is Candy Floss. You can tell by like looking at the spine of this and stuff that I read this one so many times. I loved this one so much. I also like that this one has a little note to me inside the front cover from my grandma, and it says that it was given to me on my 10th birthday in, well, she's written 206, but obviously it means 2006. God, this book is old now. I honestly don't really remember that much about the plot of this one other than it's about a girl and there's a fairground involved. I don't know if she just spends a lot of time at the fairground or if she goes to live at the fairground. That doesn't sound too traumatic or intense, so I'm wondering where that intensity is going to come from in this, because as happy and bubbly as this cover looks, I'm sure there's going to be some issues covered in this. The only prompt that this one really fits is the reread your favourite book one, but because I'm planning on rereading My Sister Jodie first, it sort of won't cover any of the other prompts, so I'm just going to see how I'm feeling. If I'm wanting to smash the prompts, then it will be the last one that I read, but if I just want that real nostalgia hype, then it'll probably be the second one that I read. And the final book on my TBR is the one to complete the prompt of read a book you haven't read yet, and for that I picked Opal Plumstead. I picked it up when I was at uni from one of the supermarkets because I was doing my children's literature module at the time, and I just reread Tracy Beaker for that. Although, side note, my children's literature tutor at uni, I went to speak to her about my essay and I said to her that I wanted to write it on Tracy Beaker, and she said, "Who's Tracy Beaker?" My children's literature module convener at university. How can you not know the icon? The inventor of children's literature, Tracy Beaker. Anyway, I picked it up because I'd been doing that and because I was just on this Jacqueline Wilson hype, and I thought that I'd get around to rereading some, and I didn't. It's one of her historical works and it is about the suffragettes. I don't know anything more than that, but I was always so interested by the suffragettes when I was at school. Hopefully it will get read. Like, really, I should prioritise it over the others because I have read all of them before. But it's like, do I go for finding new stuff or do I go for nostalgia? I'm undecided still. So those are my books for Wilsathon. I'm just going to quickly run through the rest of the books on my TBR for the month. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't know like too much about all of them. But I am currently reading one thing, and that is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This was a gift that was sent to me very kindly by Rhiannon from Welsh Reader for Christmas, and I decided that I wanted to pick it up while it was still sort of a bit wintry. When I started reading this, it was actually snowing outside. That's gone now, but because this deals so heavily with like a very cold, icy, wintry setting, I felt like if I pushed it on any further than this month, we're going to start getting into spring, and then I'm not going to want to pick it up until next year. And I'm really glad that I have decided to pick it up because I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm up to page 180, so I'm about 40% of the way through. It is quite a slow read for me because I'm not really used to reading fantasy, but now I feel like I'm into it and I have my head around what's going on. I think I'm going to get through it a bit quicker. I've also been switching between the audiobook and the physical book for this because I find with fantasy, I really like to listen to the audio to begin with because I find it quite difficult to picture worlds, but when I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, I get that, and then I can like pick it up and read on. So this book is a fantasy Rumpelstiltskin retelling, but it does take like quite a different turn. It follows three main characters, one being Miriam, who is the daughter of a moneylender. She decides that she's going to start taking over her father's business because he's a really bad moneylender, and she basically wants what the family is owed. It also follows Wanda, who begins working for Miriam, and another girl called Irina, whose father wants her to wed the Tsar. A lot of other things happen. I think the character stories are all going to become intertwined, but yeah, I'll talk about this more in my wrap up. But I'm really glad that I have decided to give this one a go. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone. I haven't really read that much fantasy historically, but I'm really glad that I'm starting to delve into a few more fantasy worlds because I'm finding that I do actually really enjoy them when I give them a go. The next thing that I'm planning on reading this month is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlo Ruiz-Zafón. I'm doing this as a buddy read with my friend Louise, and I'm going to be vlogging it because if you don't know, I'm doing a series on my channel where I read books from all around the world, starting with the countries that I was meant to visit in 2020. I've done 2 videos already, Slovakia and Norway, and I was also meant to be going to Spain last year, and this book was originally written in Spanish and it's set in Barcelona? Yeah, Barcelona. All that I know about this one is it's about a father, I think, yeah, who takes his son to this old library and he's allowed to pick out one book, and the book that he chooses, the author of that book, there's like a mystery surrounding him, or we're trying to figure out who he is. I don't really know too much other than that, but I tend to love books that centre around books. The Book Thief is one of my favourites. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but I know that every book that I've read that features books I've tended to love, so I'm hoping that this one will do the same. I would also love to read Skin by E.M. Reapy this month. This was the January book for the Books That Matter subscription box that I've signed up to, and I've had subscription boxes in the past where I haven't got round to reading the books for, well, still now for boxes that I had like 5 years ago. So yeah, not good. And I really don't want to do that with this box, because although I think the box is worth the money, I really like the stuff that came in the box along with the book, and I really like having that little present to unwrap. If I'm not going to read them, I may as well just add the book to my wish list and buy it on its own for cheaper, like months in the future. I'm thinking of doing like a self-care themed vlog where I would maybe read this book as well, because the theme for the box last month was all about self-care and that sort of thing, and there were a few self-care products that came in it, so I thought I could maybe try out them and also do like a few other things as well, just things that I like to do for self-care. I'm thinking of doing that, so if that's something that you'd be interested in, like just a really chilled out vlog of like a day or 2 of my life, then let me know and I will get that filmed. This book centers around a young woman who's just sort of feeling a bit lost, a bit burned out, I guess, and just like questioning things. And she decides to quit her job and go off traveling. I think she thinks that by doing that she'll find her place in the world and all her problems will be solved, but it's not quite as simple as that. She faces her own struggles while she's abroad. I think body image and weight is a big theme of this book as well. If you're thinking of picking this up, then that's something to be aware of, but I just feel like it's going to be very relatable. I'm really hoping that it lives up to my expectations. I think it's going to be one that I either love or hate, so we'll see. I hope it's love, and I'm just really excited to read a book where someone goes off traveling, because that's what I would love to be doing with my life right now. Okay, the next 3 books are huge and I probably won't get around to them in February, but if I could start them this month, then that would be great. If not, they will be going into like March and April, because I do really want to get round to them eventually. I think with big books, now is the time to do it while we're in this weird lockdown situation. I certainly have a lot more time on my hands, and I know that once life starts going back to a bit of normality, I'm going to be wanting to go out and do stuff all the time, so I think now is the time for the big books. So the first of those is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. Again, this is another fantasy. I read The Poppy War last year and loved it. It was one of my favourite books of the year, so I do really want to get round to reading both of the sequels this year so that I can finish the trilogy, because I just hate starting series and then not finishing them, and at this moment I can still remember what happened in The Poppy War, and if I leave it too much longer, I think it's going to go out of my head. But we'll see with this one. I might be able to start it towards the end of the month. I probably won't start it before Wilsathon now, because I'll still be reading Spinning Silver and I'm not going to want to jump straight into another fantasy the second after I finish that. So maybe towards the end of the month, I think I'll definitely be doing that thing where I skip between the physical book and the audio. If I'm like in the market for something to listen to, then it's going to be this. The next thing that I would like to start this month, but I'm intimidated by it, is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I've been influenced by several people on BookTube. The person that I saw most recently read this was Anna from Read to Me at Midnight, and she has been my inspiration behind this purchase. She vlogged her experience of reading this in lockdown, and I was like, that's a book that I've always wanted to read, and now feels like the time, as I said, to get through these sorts of books that we've always wanted to get round to. The thing is, I know it's going to take me forever to read because it's so long, the pages are quite thin, the text is quite small. What I should have done with this, I think, is dedicated like 10-15 minutes to reading a little bit of it every day, and then I would probably have been done by the end of the month. Seeing as we're now a week in, I think maybe it's a bit late for that, but we'll see. It might be one again that towards the end of the month I pick up. I think this book begins with 4 classmates who all moved to New York at the same time, and it just tells their stories. I don't know if it focuses mainly on one person or not. I guess the title would suggest that, A Little Life, but I know that there's a lot of trigger warnings for this book. I haven't actually looked them all up myself, but I would recommend that if there are like specific trigger warnings that you know you would look out for, then go in and look in on like Storygraph, because they list all the trigger warnings on there, just so you're aware like going into this book. But yeah, maybe a reading vlog for this coming at some point, maybe in February, maybe not. Now if you think this book is long, the final book that I want to read this month, even longer. I'm not going to read this whole thing this month, absolutely no way, but that is The Eighth Life by Nino Haratiashvili. This is the 4th book in my Reading Around the World series that I want to read. This is a book from Georgia, which is the final country that I was meant to be visiting in 2020. This book is almost 1,000 pages long, and the font is the smallest font I've possibly ever seen. Can you see that? It's tiny. I would like to read a bit more of this in February, like 50 pages or something. I just want to get cracking with this reading vlog, and I want to like try and fit it in to my life, because I don't think just sitting down and getting through this in one sort of go, it's not going to work for me. So I would just like to get a move on with it. I did actually read up to page 86 in December, and then Christmas happened and I put it down to pick up all the Christmassy books, and then I just haven't picked it back up again. This book basically documents a family who are originally from Georgia over the course of several years and several generations. And what's good about this is it's sort of broken down into books, and each one centers around a different member of the family. Although like other members will feature obviously in that particular person's book, they won't be like the central figure, they'll just be more side characters, and then you'll move on to a different character's story. And I've read the first one. I got to the end of book 1, but I haven't started book 2 yet, so I feel like I remember what happened. I don't need to start again, and the font is too small for me to start again. But yeah, I just really want to do this vlog, and I was really enjoying it. Like, I was so intimidated by it, but I was really enjoying the writing. I felt very immersed in this family, but I just put it down, and I need to start prioritizing it, otherwise it will just never get done. So those were all of the things that I would like to read in February. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or let me know what your most anticipated read for the coming month is, or just leave me an emoji of your choice to let me know that you've watched the video. And I hope that some of you can join us for Wilsathon. It's going to be really fun. As I say, check out the announcement video and our Twitter page if you would like to know more. Other than that though, that is it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're all keeping safe and staying well, and I will see you again next time. Bye.